Hey there, you're looking kind of cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out all my other socials. Enjoy. In the dim kitchen, sunlight hit the metal surfaces. An envelope sat on the counter for weeks while the woman, Leah, went through her daily routine. Every morning she made coffee and ignored the envelope. It was an invitation to the Highland Park High School class reunion. The fancy lettering made it look out of place. It reminded her of things she'd rather forget. Leah didn't look much like she had in high school. She didn't notice the changes, even when she caught her reflection in the microwave. Her brown hair was longer and softer now. Her face was rounder because of hormone therapy. Her jawline wasn't sharp anymore. Almost everything about her had changed except her eyes. They were still the same green as in her old yearbook photos. You planning to actually open that thing, or just let it haunt you forever? The voice belonged to her roommate, Carmen, who leaned against the doorframe in striped pajamas and fuzzy slippers. Carmen had been there through the hardest parts, the therapy sessions, the medical appointments, the legal name change from Austin to Leah. I opened it last night. Leah turned the coffee maker on, watching dark liquid drip into the pot. RSVP deadline is tomorrow. And I don't know. She reached for 2 mugs from the cabinet, one decorated with cats, the other plain white. Part of me wants to go, show them who I really am now. The other part thinks it'll be a disaster? Something like that. The coffee finished brewing. She poured 2 cups, adding cream and sugar to Carmen's the way she liked it. I haven't seen most of these people since graduation. Back then I was someone else. Right. She handed Carmen the cat mug. Someone they think they knew. Quarterback of the football team. Prom king. All that stereotypical nonsense that never felt right. Carmen sipped her coffee thoughtfully. You know what I think? I think you're overthinking this. You've built a whole life here. You're a successful marketing director. You volunteer at the animal shelter every weekend. You're happy. If they can't see past their old memories, that's their problem. The words made sense, but anxiety still twisted in her stomach. 20 years was a long time. People changed. Maybe they'd surprise her. Maybe they wouldn't. Either way, hiding felt like admitting shame where none existed. I'll go shopping with you, Carmen offered. Find something that makes you feel confident. Armor up, you know? Leah smiled for the first time that morning. Retail therapy? The best kind of therapy? 2 days later, they hit the shops downtown. Leah tried on dozens of outfits, each one rejected for different reasons. Too casual, too formal, too young, too old. Nothing felt right for facing a room full of people who'd known her before. What about this? Carmen held up a royal blue wrap dress. The fabric looked soft, expensive, classic but not boring, professional but not stuffy. Leah took the dress into the fitting room. The mirror reflected someone she recognized. Herself. The dress hugged in the right places without being revealing. The color complemented her skin tone. Most importantly, she felt comfortable in it. Confident, even. That's the one, Carmen called through the door, somehow knowing without seeing. I can tell by how quiet you got. They completed the outfit with black heels, not too high, she'd need to stand for hours, and simple jewelry. A delicate gold necklace, small earrings. Nothing flashy. The goal was to blend in while standing out, if that made any sense. The night of the reunion arrived faster than expected. Leah spent extra time on her makeup, keeping it natural, but polished. Her hands shook slightly as she applied mascara. 20 years of life had passed since she'd seen most of these people. 20 years of growth, change, becoming. The hotel ballroom buzzed with conversation and laughter. A banner reading, "Welcome back class of 2004, stretched across the far wall. Round tables dotted the space, each centerpiece featuring yearbook photos and school colors. A DJ played hits from their high school years, songs that transported her back to Friday night football games and house parties she'd attended, but never quite enjoyed. She signed in at the registration table, where 2 women she vaguely recognized handed her a name tag. They'd already filled it out. Leah Morrison, her legal name for the past 8 years. No questions, no confusion, just a smile and directions to the bar. The first hour passed in a blur of small talk with people whose faces seemed familiar, but names escaped her. Former classmates had grown into adults with careers, spouses, children. They showed phone photos and swapped stories about life after Highland Park. Most didn't seem to recognize her, which brought both relief and an odd disappointment. "Oh my God, is that you?" She turned to find a woman in a black cocktail dress staring at her with wide eyes. Recognition dawned slowly. Mallory Chen, her former lab partner in AP chemistry. They'd spent countless hours studying together, cramming for tests in the library. "Mallory?" Leah's voice came out steadier than expected. "It's been so long. I almost didn't recognize you. You look amazing. Different, but amazing." Mallory's enthusiasm seemed genuine. "I heard through the grapevine that you'd transitioned. I'm so happy to see you here." The conversation flowed easier than anticipated. Mallory worked as a pediatrician now, married with twins. She showed photos, asked about Leah's work, caught her up on mutual friends. Not once did she use the wrong name or pronouns. Not once did she make it weird. Others weren't as smooth. Some stared a beat too long, processing the change. A few former teammates did double takes, confusion clear on their faces, but most simply accepted the information and moved on. 20 years had given everyone perspective. They'd all changed in various ways. "I need another drink," Leah told Mallory after their third interruption by someone wanting to catch up. "Want anything? White wine if you're offering." The bar line stretched longer now that dinner had ended. She waited behind a man in a gray suit who looked familiar from behind. When he turned to leave with his beer, their eyes met. "Holy shit!" He nearly dropped his drink. "Austin? It's Leah now." She kept her voice level despite her racing heart. This was Nathan Rodriguez, her best friend through all 4 years. They'd been inseparable once. Football practice, weekend trips, late-night talks about everything except the truth she'd been hiding. "Right. Sorry, Leah." He seemed to test the name out. "I heard you'd changed. Didn't know if you'd show up tonight." Almost didn't. An awkward silence stretched between them. The bartender asked for her order. She requested a vodka tonic and white wine, grateful for the distraction. Nathan hadn't moved when she finished. "You look good," he said finally. "Happy, are you? Happy, I mean?" "Yeah." The simple truth of it surprised her. "I really am." "Good. That's good." He shifted his weight. "Look, I know we lost touch after graduation. I always wondered why you just disappeared. Now I guess I understand." "It was complicated." "I bet." He took a sip of beer. "For what it's worth, I'm glad you came tonight. Takes guts." Before she could respond, someone called his name from across the room. He gave her a small nod and walked away. The interaction left her feeling oddly lighter. Maybe this had been the right choice after all. She delivered Mallory's wine and excused herself to the bathroom. The mirror reflected back the same woman who'd been nervous that morning. But something had shifted. The royal blue dress no longer felt like armor. It was just a nice dress on a woman attending her high school reunion. "There you are," a voice echoed off the bathroom tiles. "I've been looking everywhere for you." A tall woman with black hair emerged from one of the stalls. Everything about her screamed expensive, from the designer dress to the perfect manicure. It took a moment to place her. "Jessica?" Leah ventured. Jessica Williams, former cheerleader and the girl everyone had expected Austin to date. They'd gone to prom together as friends, both hiding different truths. "I go by Jess now." She washed her hands with practiced elegance. "God, when someone told me you were here, I couldn't believe it. You look incredible." "Thanks, you too." "I mean it." Jess turned from the sink, really looking at her. "I'm proud of you. It couldn't have been easy." "It wasn't." Understatement of the century. "But it was necessary." "I get that." Jess reapplied lipstick without looking away from the mirror. "We all have our journeys. Mine involved divorcing the husband my parents picked out and starting my own law firm. Yours was just more visible." They walked back to the ballroom together, catching up on 2 decades of life. Jess practiced corporate law in the city. She'd come out as a lesbian 5 years ago, scandalizing her conservative family. They bonded over shared experiences of becoming themselves despite expectations. "Want to grab a table?" Jess suggested. "I could use a break from mingling." They claimed seats near the back, away from the speakers blasting 90s pop hits. Other classmates drifted over throughout the night. Some conversations went well, others felt stilted and strange, but Leah found herself relaxing into the evening, no longer bracing for impact with each interaction. "Remember when we TP'd Principal Harrison's house?" A man she recognized as Tommy Chen pulled up a chair. "You were so paranoid we'd get caught." "Because we almost did." The memory surfaced easily. "His neighbor's dog wouldn't stop barking. And you made us clean it up the next morning." Tommy laughed. "Showed up with trash bags and everything, said it wasn't right to make someone else deal with our mess." "Some things don't change," Jess added. "Still the responsible one." The stories continued. Football games, class trips, senior pranks. Each memory belonged to someone she used to be, yet they were still hers. The cognitive dissonance had faded over the years. She could own her past without letting it define her present. "I need to tell you something." Nathan appeared at their table, beer number 3 in hand. "I was a shitty friend. After graduation, when you pulled away, I should have tried harder. Reached out more. I'm sorry. You couldn't have known. Maybe not the specifics." He sat down heavily. "But I knew something was wrong. You were miserable senior year. I just didn't know how to help." "Nobody could have helped." Leah meant it. "I had to figure it out for myself." Still, he picked at his beer label. "I missed my best friend, even if she looks different now." The pronoun usage caught her off guard. Nathan noticed her expression and shrugged. "My daughter came out as trans last year. She's 16. Brave as hell. Made me think about you, actually. How hard it must have been doing this alone." "You have a trans daughter?" "Maya." His face lit up. "She's amazing. Wants to be an engineer. Builds these incredible robots in our garage." They talked about Maya, about parenting, about how the world had changed and hadn't changed. Nathan showed photos of his family, his wife, his younger son, and Maya, who smiled brilliantly at the camera in a robotics team uniform. "She'd love to meet you," Nathan said. "If you're ever interested, no pressure." "I'd like that." The DJ announced the last dance of the night. Couples moved onto the floor as a slow song began. Leah watched from the table, content to observe. The scared boy who'd attended prom in this same hotel no longer existed. In her place sat a woman who'd built a life worth living. "Want to dance?" Jess extended a hand. "For old time's sake? We never got to dance together at actual prom." "Why not?" They joined the other couples on the floor. Jess led, which made Leah laugh. Some things really didn't change. The song was something forgettable from their teenage years, but the moment felt significant. Two women who'd hidden their true selves now danced openly at their high school reunion. "Thank you for tonight," Leah said as the music faded. "For making this easier." "Thank you for showing up." Jess squeezed her hand. "For being visible. You have no idea how much that means." The evening wound down slowly. People exchanged numbers, made promises to keep in touch that probably wouldn't stick. Leah found herself giving out her contact information more than expected. Mallory wanted to get lunch. Nathan insisted on that meeting with Maya. Jess suggested coffee to discuss a potential marketing contract for her firm. Outside the hotel, the night air felt cool against her skin. She'd survived. More than survived. She'd actually enjoyed herself. The royal blue dress had a small wine stain near the hem from Mallory's enthusiastic gesturing. Her feet hurt from the heels. Her face ached from smiling. All evidence of a successful evening. "How'd it go?" Carmen texted, probably still awake despite the late hour. "Better than expected," she typed back. "I'll tell you everything tomorrow." The drive home gave her time to process. 20 years ago, she'd left this town convinced she'd never return. Too many bad memories, too much pretending. But tonight had shown her something important. The past didn't have to be erased to move forward. It could be integrated, acknowledged, even celebrated in its own way. Her phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "This is Jess. I meant what I said earlier. Proud of you. Let's get that coffee soon. Then another, from Nathan. Great seeing you tonight. Maya's already asking when she can meet you. No rush, but the offer stands. A third from Mallory. So glad you came. Free for lunch Thursday? She sat in her driveway reading the messages, brown hair falling forward as she smiled at the screen. The reunion had been about more than facing the past. It had been about claiming her place in a story that continued to unfold. Inside, she found Carmen on the couch with popcorn and a movie paused on the screen. Tell me everything, her roommate demanded. Was it awful? Amazing? Did anyone say something stupid? All of the above. Leah kicked off the black heels and sank onto the couch. But mostly good. Really good, actually. She recounted the evening's highlights, Mallory's warmth, Nathan's daughter, dancing with Jess. Carmen listened with rapt attention, occasionally interjecting with commentary that made Leah laugh. So you're glad you went? Yeah. The answer came without hesitation. I needed to do this, to stop running from that part of my life. And the dress? Perfect choice. She smoothed the royal blue fabric, though it now has a battle scar from Mallory's wine. Badge of honor. They talked until nearly dawn, processing the emotional weight of the evening. By the time Leah finally made it to bed, the sun was beginning to light the horizon. She hung the royal blue dress carefully in her closet, a reminder of the night she'd stopped hiding from her past. The next few weeks brought unexpected connections. Lunch with Mallory turned into a regular monthly tradition. They discovered their lives had followed parallel tracks in many ways. Career-focused, childless by choice, devoted to their work but learning to make time for friendship. Coffee with Jess evolved into a professional partnership. Her law firm needed marketing help, and Leah's expertise fit perfectly. Working together revealed how much they had in common beyond their shared history. Both had rebuilt their lives after choosing authenticity over expectation. Meeting Maya proved to be the most meaningful connection. Nathan's daughter was everything he'd described: brilliant, creative, confident in ways Leah had never been at that age. They met at a robotics competition where Maya's team took second place. Dad said you went to school with him, Maya said over milkshakes afterward. That you transitioned as an adult? That's right. Was it hard, waiting so long? Leah considered the question. Yes and no. I didn't have the words for what I was feeling back then. The world was different, but everyone's timeline is their own. I'm lucky, Maya admitted. My parents are cool. My school's pretty good about it. I know not everyone has that. You are lucky, but you're also brave. Don't discount that. They talked for hours about everything and nothing. Maya showed videos of her robots. Leah shared stories from her marketing campaigns. Nathan watched with a soft smile, occasionally contributing to the conversation, but mostly letting them connect. Would you be willing to speak at her school? He asked as they prepared to leave. They do these career day things, but Maya suggested maybe talking about your journey, if you're comfortable. I'd be honored. The speaking engagement terrified her more than the reunion had. Talking to teenagers about her experience felt vulnerable in ways she hadn't anticipated, but standing in front of Maya's class, wearing a simple green dress that matched her eyes, she found her voice. 20 years ago, I graduated from high school not far from here, she began. I was valedictorian, quarterback of the football team, and completely lost, because the person everyone saw wasn't who I really was. The students listened with surprising attention as she outlined her journey, the years of confusion, the gradual understanding, the decision to transition, the life she'd built since. She kept it age-appropriate but honest. The thing is, she concluded, there's no one right way to be yourself. Some people know from childhood. Some figure it out later. Some never need to question at all. What matters is that you're true to whatever that self is. Questions followed, thoughtful, respectful, curious. Maya beamed from the front row, occasionally adding her own insights. By the end, several students approached to thank her for sharing. One slipped her a note that simply said, "Thank you for showing me it gets better." Word spread about the presentation. Other schools reached out, parent groups, community organizations. Without planning to, Leah found herself becoming an accidental advocate. She kept her day job but began speaking regularly, sharing her story with those who needed to hear it. "You're becoming quite the local celebrity," Carmen teased over dinner one night. "I saw that article in the paper." "Please don't remind me." The feature story had included a photo from the reunion, her in the royal blue dress, laughing at something Jess had said. "I still can't believe I agreed to that interview." "You're helping people. That matters." It did matter. Letters arrived weekly now from parents, teenagers, adults who'd found hope in her story. She answered each one personally, remembering her own isolation during the questioning years. A year after the reunion, she stood in the same hotel ballroom for a different event. The trans youth organization had asked her to speak at their fundraising gala. She'd chosen a burgundy dress this time, her brown hair styled in an elegant updo. "Tonight, we're celebrating authenticity," she began, looking out at the crowd. "The courage it takes to be yourself in a world that often demands conformity." In the audience, she spotted familiar faces. Nathan and his family sat at a front table, Maya wearing a dress that matched her father's tie. Jess had bought an entire table for her firm. Mallory waved from the back. Even Carmen had come, despite her hatred of formal events. The speech flowed easily now, refined by months of practice but still genuine. She talked about the importance of support systems, the power of visibility, the necessity of creating space for everyone to be themselves. "A year ago, I almost didn't attend my high school reunion," she admitted. "I was terrified of facing people who'd known me before, but that night taught me something crucial. When we show up as ourselves, really ourselves, we give others permission to do the same." Applause filled the room as she finished. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of conversations, donations, connections made. She worked the room like the marketing professional she was, but with genuine investment in the cause. "Remember when you were terrified of that reunion?" Jess appeared at her elbow during a quiet moment. "Look at you now." "Still terrified," Leah admitted. "Just better at hiding it. Aren't we all?" They watched Maya demonstrate one of her robots to a group of fascinated donors. The teenager moved with confidence, explaining technical concepts with ease. Her parents stood nearby, proud and supportive. "She reminds me of you," Jess said. "Not the scared kid we knew in high school. The woman you've become." The comparison sat strangely, but not unpleasantly. Maya was everything Leah wished she could have been at that age. Sure of herself, supported, free to explore without shame. But then again, Leah's journey had led her here, to this moment, in this ballroom, surrounded by chosen family and newfound purpose. "Thank you again for the contracts," she said, changing the subject. "Your firm has been amazing to work with." "Purely selfish. You're the best marketing director in the city." Jess raised her champagne glass. "To authentic partnerships." They clinked glasses as the evening wound toward its conclusion. Donations had exceeded expectations, connections had been forged, stories had been shared. The event was deemed a complete success. Later, helping Carmen load leftover materials into her car, Leah reflected on the strange turns life could take. That nervous woman in the royal blue dress at the reunion had become someone she barely recognized, confident, visible, engaged with her community in ways she'd never imagined. "You did good tonight," Carmen said, closing the trunk. "Really good. It's just talking. It's more than that, and you know it." Her roommate's expression turned serious. "You're showing people what's possible. That's huge." The weight of responsibility sat heavy sometimes. Being visible meant being vulnerable, open to judgment and criticism alongside support. But every letter from a struggling teenager, every parent seeking guidance, every adult finding courage to be themselves made it worthwhile. Her phone buzzed with a text from Maya. "You killed it tonight. Mom cried during your speech. Dad pretended he didn't, but totally did. Can we get milkshakes this weekend to celebrate?" "Absolutely," she typed back. "Proud of you for the robot demo. You're going to change the world." "We both are," came the immediate response. Driving home through quiet streets, still wearing the burgundy dress and slightly uncomfortable heels, Leah thought about change, how it happened slowly, then all at once, how a single decision, to attend a reunion, to stop hiding, to show up as herself, could ripple outward in unexpected ways. The woman in the rearview mirror bore little resemblance to the frightened boy who'd graduated 20 years ago. Brown hair framed a face that had found peace with itself. Green eyes held confidence earned through struggle and growth. The external changes mattered, but the internal transformation ran deeper. At home, she hung the burgundy dress next to the royal blue one in her closet. 2 dresses, 2 pivotal nights, 2 moments of choosing courage over comfort. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities to show up authentically. But tonight she allowed herself to feel proud of the journey traveled, the connections made, the life built from the ashes of who she'd never really been. The scared quarterback was gone, replaced by a woman who'd found her voice and used it to light the way for others. Carmen had left a note on the kitchen counter. "You're a badass. Don't forget it." "See." She smiled, pouring a glass of water before heading to bed. Tomorrow she had a marketing presentation, lunch with Mallory, and dinner with her parents, another relationship rebuilt through patient work. Next week brought more speaking engagements, strategy sessions with Jess, milkshakes with Maya, a full life, an authentic life, the life she'd always meant to live. The royal blue dress might have been armor that first night, protection against judgment and fear, but she didn't need armor anymore. Just the courage to continue showing up as herself, one day at a time, one connection at a time, one story at a time. In the end, that was enough. More than enough. It was everything. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my other socials if you want more content, early access, behind the scenes, and more. All links down below.